numbers can have an effect on your life and on our lives.
When you see your numbers on a clock or even when you're driving, maybe on someone's car, it's talking to you. It's a reminder. So it's like, are you taking care of business? Are you being responsible? Where are you taking charge? What needs to be handled? So it's all a reminder about you. Well, one of the basics of 2 and 3. 2 is love, and the 3 is laughter and communication. It's the most playful part of who we are. 2,500 years ago, Pythagoras believed that everything had vibration, and what he did was go to the basics. 1, being selfish, and 9, being selflessness. You grow through these energies and these numbers.
Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael Sandler, your host on Inspire Nation. If you've ever wanted to improve your relationship or find the love of your life, then do we have the Love by the Numbers show for you. Today we'll be talking with Glynis McCants, celebrity numerologist, best-selling author, and the undisputed heavyweight of Pythagorean numerology in the world, about her latest book, Love by the Numbers. And that's just what I want to talk with her about today, about how to find great love or reignite the love you have through the power of numerology. That plus we'll talk about dating and X-Files, the real meaning of 911, Jim Carrey and 23, Frank Sinatra and Champagne on Ice, hotel rooms and the number 8, Paul Newman and Joan Woodward, and what in the world 9664-6 has to do with anything. So welcome to the show, Glynis. Are you ready to shine?
I am always ready to shine, and thank you for having me.
Well, thank you so much for being here, and a mighty woohoo! So, before we dive right into things, were you into numbers as a kid?
Well, what happened for me is around 19, my heart was broken, and I went to see someone who was a numerologist. People said she was a psychic, but she really was a numerologist, and she helped me understand that we weren't even compatible in numerology. And when she said it, after 2 years of pain, I was out of pain. Like, it just made sense to me. And from that day forward, I started studying numbers. So was I good at mathematics? Yes. But English was my passion growing up.
How did you wrap your mind around numbers can have an effect on your life and on our lives?
Well, I'll tell you, it made perfect sense to me. Like, from the day I met her, I picked up a book on numerology and I read the basic numbers, 1 through 9. And when I did it, it resonated. Like, from that day forward, I really could read people. And that's when I knew the gift was God-given, because it made no sense that I was so in tune to it. And then I read other books on the subjects that hit and missed, like they were vague, not specific. And that's when I felt called to write books of my own on the subject.
It's interesting because you're talking in a sense about vibration and frequency. And if we go back in time, 2,500 years back in time, the man who brought us modern geometry, in a sense, was looking into this as well.
Well, actually, it's him. Pythagoras was the creator of the system. 2,500 years ago, he believed that everything had vibration, and what he did was go to the basics. 1, being selfish, like learning about self, and 9, being selflessness. So it's kind of like you grow through these energies and these numbers. And the belief is that when you're born, there's a frequency that comes with you. If you'll recall, Pythagoras was also known as the father of harmonics. So music is also the same as for people. Like, Michael, when you meet somebody, you're like, oh, I like this person. What a joy. You meet someone else, you're like, whoa, why do I feel kind of drained? How come we're miscommunicating? That's all vibration. And that's what he taught in the science of numbers.
Beautiful. So, before this time, did you have a spiritual side of yourself? Did you have anything that suggested you were thinking, shall we say, outside of the box?
Well, sure. I mean, I was raised in a family of 13. I am one of 11 brothers and sisters. So, I was dealing with all that energy in my life. When I started to look at numbers, it all started to make sense, like who was compatible, who was a challenge. But I'll tell you one dream I had as a kid, and I have never forgotten this. I was around 4 or 5 years old, kind of learning the ABCs, and I remember it was like a ghosty thing. I was sleeping, and all of a sudden it looked like the ABCs came through my room, like this white, ghosty ABC. So I ran upstairs to my parents' room and I was screaming, oh my gosh, the ABCs are chasing me. They're chasing me. Well, when they came through the room, they became 1, 2, 3. Like ABC became 1, 2, 3. Now, why that's powerful is the Pythagoras number system. A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, and I was a little girl. So to me, it's like, wasn't that a foreshadowing? That certainly had to be some sort of message. I believe that.
Wow. And it's interesting because I'm looking at my questions right here, and I had a question coming up about Jim Carrey and the number 23. And all of a sudden in my head, I heard 1, 2, 3, Jim Carrey 2, 3.
Isn't that funny? Now, you do know I did the movie number 23.
Absolutely.
I got to do the special feature where I taught those basic numbers 1 through 9. And the word is Jim Carrey loves the number 23, not just doing the movie, but he always enjoyed the energy. As a matter of fact, his production company was JC23. So this has been a part, and it's cute that Jim Carrey, sounds like Jesus Christ, right? Or the initials are the same. But he has such an appreciation of it. And people have asked me, well, what are the basics of 2 and 3? 2 is love, in its best form. It seeks love, peace, harmony. And the 3 is laughter and communication. It's the most playful part of who we are. So that's why those energies resonate with so many. But then when you put them together, 2 plus 3 is 5. The shadow side of 5 is no dull moments, drama. Oh my gosh, every time I turn around. It reminds me of you're in the ocean and the waves are huge and you go underwater and you hold your breath and then you come back up and you get smacked with another wave. There's no dull moments with 5 energy, and that I think Jim Carrey likes as well.
So if I love 23, I see 23 all around me all the time. It's like always 23. And so, but that doesn't have to mean that I love drama, does it?
I'll tell you what it does mean. Like when someone tells me there's a number following them around or a number they're drawn to, is I'll look up their birth certificate information, right? The name they go by, the full birth certificate name, their birthday. And I already found with you have a 5. Like your birthday breaks down to a 5. So when you say you like it, it's you. That's resonating with your own energy. Now, in your case, it means no dull moments, but you love life. And remember, I said drama is the shadow side. The positive side is celebration. I was just going to say, the way you start your show going, yoo-hoo, that's a 5 all the way. 5s are the celebrator of life. If I do an event, I promise you the majority of the people in the room are 5s. They like no dull moments. They love to learn. They're natural detectives. They dig for the truth. That's you. So that's why you love it. It resonates with the positive part of who you are. You love magic. That's and the 3 and the 2 love magic as well. So, when things get negative, because look, like all of us, sometimes bad things happen to you, but you refuse to believe it's going to last. You're like, no, this is just a moment of time. I'm going to learn from it and move on. The other thing I see in your chart, because you're born on a 7 day, in the purest sense, I say 7. My joke is you either thank God or think you're God. So which one is it?
I'm going to thank God. It's too much for me to take on that whole job myself.
That's right. Right. So you are a very spiritual man. And that's such a blessing, because when the 7 figures out that part of their life, they know that it's not the weight of the world is not all on their shoulders, because you can feel so overwhelmed. It's nice to just give it up and say, I'm going to trust this process. Not my problem, But 7 is also the observer. They're the ones who ask those questions. Why are we here? How do we make a difference? So you do feel called, Michael. I'm sure the reason you have this show is to bring as many people, thought leaders, as you can find to help people, have a better life. If they're miserable, how do you get happy? How do you achieve your goals and dreams? That's a big part of your calling. That's why this is so important to you.
Woohoo! So this brings up 2 other tangential questions, and then I want to dive into some of the science behind all this.
Sure.
I've had 2 NDEs. The first one, that date sticks out in my mind, which is April 2nd, 2006. The second one was 7 years, 1 month, 17 days later, 7117. Are either of those numbers somehow important? April 2nd, 2006, which I consider my new birthday, and 7117.
Okay. Again, when I take a date, I'm going to always take the whole thing and reduce it to 1 digit just to get that basic number.
Yep.
And in this case, again, you're talking about that number 5. And you're a 5 life path. The thing that shifted for you is the number 2 came in. 2 is psychically in tune to truth. So you became more intuitive. Yeah. you became more sensitive. So the empathy jumped in. And then the 6 energy, which is the month and date, that's parent energy. You know, the father rescuing. If you can rescue the damsel in distress, that's fine with you. You don't like to see people suffer, people you care about. You are one to step up, but that's what that energy is. So that, you know, I would tell you that the 7 that you were born on, the 7 can be a loner. They can only take so much when it comes to other people. The 2 absolutely cares about people. Like if you saw someone in the street, someone in pain, you're going to help. It's a natural thing to do. So that's what I see in that. Tell me what happened. Was it an accident?
I was inline skating. I had just been praying and meditating for safety and guidance. I was supposed to do this 4,000-mile skate across the country to help people with learning disabilities, a world record skate, and I was training for it. And I prayed for safety and guidance, laced up my skates, said, "Go slow, Michael. It's a Sunday. There may be tourists on the bike path." I rounded the first bend, and there was a tourist, a father, who stepped out on the bike path right in front of me, teaching his baby how to walk. He didn't know it was a bike path. And somehow I managed to throw myself up and backwards. The down part took care of itself to avoid hitting the baby. And you just said the parental part, and I was doing everything I could.
Right. The nurture in you. And also, here you'd been doing all that prayer, and yet you came up against a challenge, and then you were like, I'm not going to let this happen. You prevented what easily could have happened. That accident, like if it wasn't you, they would have hit that baby. That's what I want to say. Wow. So what happened to you? What happened to your body?
Okay. I had to get centered at this point.
Yes.
I shattered my left femur, and parts of the bone were sticking into the femoral artery and miraculously didn't go through. Shattered my left hip and shattered my left arm, and had the best way to describe it. I didn't go anywhere. I didn't see any light. The best way to describe it is an instant, complete life shift.
Oh, yeah.
In that moment, as if not Michael went away and a new Michael is here. Well, actually, yeah, more or less. There was a new me is the best way to describe it. And I was happy as a clam laying there. I was so thrilled and excited and in love with life and in love with the world. And, you know, the fire department comes there and the EMTs get there. And I had to literally flop one leg over the other to keep the bone from poking into the artery. And I didn't know that. All I knew was lift, leg, move, which was incredibly grisly. And they're all asking me the same thing. Did you hit your head? Because I had this beaming ear to ear grin, such a cosmic knowing and a lightness about myself. A life is good. Life is good.
Yes.
The woohoo.
That date had duality in its personality. It had the 2 and the 5, which are not compatible. Like those are challenged to one another. And you came up against it in that moment. I mean, you had choices to make, but to you, it was never an option. So yeah, you did not hit your head at all though, correct?
No, not
right.
at all.
So you see, like you saved your mind. This was about your mind. You know, I always say this about people that they don't seem to understand, but I certainly try to help them. Our mind is our universe. So whatever we believe is what we manifest. When we believe something better, we can have a better life. We can have a better universe. Look at you that you were broken. Your body was broken, but you were joyful. Like, wow, look, I did it right. But oh my gosh, tell me about the father. How did he handle what he did, that he put his kid in such harm's way, not knowing? How was that handled?
As best as I know, father whisked away, baby whisked away, somebody else who was with them, because I only saw them out in the corner of my eye, came up to check on me and then disappeared, never to be found again. They were so out of there. In the moment, though, when it happened.
That's amazing. Yes.
I could see.
And I know for me, you realize, and I know you know this, but I'll say it anyway, everything that happens in this lifetime is a spiritual lesson.
Amen.
And that father, in my opinion, did not handle the lesson properly. No. He should have adopted you. I'm not kidding. You prevented what would have been the biggest tragedy of his life. Mm-hmm. And you know what you sacrificed was your body. I mean, how long did it take to recover?
2-3 years, but well, and you are not your story. So it took me 2-3 years, and there's still things that you work out with all the titanium parts. Yeah, but what a gift! It was a huge, huge gift.
What I'm saying is that's those choices. You know, people don't realize, they always think they can be a victim. You don't have a victim bone in your body. It's not how you roll. Yeah. Even when you have the right to be upset, you're like, oh, pull yourself together. You know, that's just you. But you know who that also is? 6 energy, the knight in shining armor. I'm going to take care of it. You can count on my strength, not my weakness. I will not ever let my weaknesses interfere with me doing the best. This is you, Michael. That's how you roll. No pun intended.
Thank you. I didn't know God roll.
Even when you said it was skating, correct?
Yes, it was. It was skating.
On, roll how we roll, and look at you. You're like, oh no, this is not going to be how my day ends up. But yeah, huge difference. Now going back to that other energy, I'm not clear on what you're trying to tell me. You're saying that. So then the second
accident, May 19th, 2013, I had a slip and fall, which resulted in. Yeah. So after first accident, I had a titanium femur and a titanium rod through the hip, basically a titanium femur and titanium hip and an inch leg length discrepancy. Fast forward to May 19th, 2013. You can't make this stuff up. It's too crazy. Right?
Yes.
And I now have a matching identical, they said no Oz, the doctors, titanium femur through my right leg, titanium hip in my right leg, and no more leg length discrepancy, perfectly balanced with identical hardware. They took place 7 years, 1 month, and 17 days apart.
But tell me this. What were you doing that day that this accident happened?
I had been hiking. We had been on a book tour gone bad where we were trying to be Sisyphus, or I was trying to be Sisyphus and roll the stone uphill. And my wife came sort of to rescue me. We were returning an RV, giving up on this segment of a book tour, yet I hadn't fully given up on it. But moments before I had my slip and fall, I had hugged her, told her how much I loved her, said, I feel it's just about time to have kids. You know, let's start the family.
Yes.
And then I took a couple steps and was flying through the air. And I spent an hour after I started breathing again, an hour forcing myself to breathe with no blood pressure when the EMTs got to me to keep myself alive.
You know what's interesting about that is the fact that both of those days have the number 6 in it. Okay, 6 is literally you trying to be strong. Like I always call that the king of the castle. I'll take care of everybody. So the fact that both times, weren't you trying to be heroic? I mean, on some level.
I was trying to slay the dragons at all costs. But Jessica was so smart that when the transmission went out in the first vehicle we were supposed to use, and we hadn't left Maui yet, she's like, I'm out. It's a sign. You do this on your own if you want to do it. I ain't going there. And yet, I'm like, I will slay the dragons. So yes, and I was slayed.
Yes. So the lesson was very much a part of what you were going through. Now, what we didn't cover, what's kind of interesting is personal years. You know, when each year happens, you're in a new cycle. Okay. So when I look at that, was that 2006? That was the first accident, right?
Yeah.
So you take that 8 energy, because 2 plus 0 plus 0 plus 6 is 8, and you add it to your attitude number, which is the number 6. 8 plus 6 is 14. 1 plus 4 is 5. So you were in the year, the first accident, of drama. This is that shadow side. No dull moments. Things were going fast. But I will bet when this happened with the accident, weren't you in slow motion? Like the way your brain was working in that moment of what am I going to do about this? Did it slow down for you?
Yes. What I recall from it is, oh my God, child. And then I'm in the air and I can feel myself in the air. And I had time to ask myself at least most of the question. First off, I was dumbfounded. How did I get in the air in this position? Which was the right position to be in. And then secondly, and I may have even taken a moment beforehand to say, what do I do? When I repeat the story often, I say, that I had a decision to make, hit the baby or hit the deck. I'm not sure how conscious I was of that. But
right.
I'm up in the air and I'm wondering to myself, will I be able to do my trip afterwards?
Yes.
Will I be fine? And so everything froze in slow motion. And then it's kind of like in a scene out of the movies where like out of like Roadrunner, something's been stretched and then comes back. And I heard the dull concussive thud of bones exploding inside of me.
Wow.
And I felt it, because if you want to break a stick, particularly a wet stick, put your foot underneath it, bring it up and twist it. I would have made an Olympic high jumper proud, going up and back to avoid the baby, but I also rotated to avoid the baby. And so I landed on my hip while rotating, and everything exploded because of the rotational force. And that was very surreal and slow and fast. I don't even know how to describe that at the same time. Time changed.
Right.
In that moment.
And yet you also said about it, it was as if you counted as a new birthday. And there's something interesting about you saying that. The personal year cycle you were in was a cycle of 9. And 9, honestly, statistically, like when I do analysis, it's not uncommon for someone to cross over in the cycle of 9, because it's the time of completion. Like it's a spiritual lesson. You could be moving on to your next lesson. It's the beginning of a brand new cycle. So consider in that moment, you were born again. You know, it was like a new time, a new way to look at your life. As for the second accident, when I look at the energy, I say, like I did say, they shared the number 6. But the other thing is, it was a 1 day, which means you were being very competitive. That was a very competitive day for you. And what can go wrong with that is we don't necessarily listen to that instinct, that maybe the inner voice that says this may not be a good idea. You weren't hearing that. And the 6 and the 1 challenge each other in numerology. So it's almost like it's not clear communication. And that is certainly something that happened for you. There is a 3 energy involved, and that's your wife's energy. Mm-hmm. So in other words, the whole day has a 3, just like her. What happened with her that day? What was it like for the two of you?
Well, it was incredibly traumatic for her, because she came running back to me, which is the only reason I'm still here, because I had stopped breathing, and I had a choice. And I was given a choice, no bright lights, but I was given a choice. Kind of stay in bliss, you'll be good.
Wow.
Or go back to Jessica, and you have the greatest fight of your life on your hands, and you know how much pain you will be in. And here she comes running back up to my side, and I, of course, chose to be with her. But then, as I had to, for the next hour, consciously choose each breath, my body would not breathe, I had to give her instructions of, take the phone, go for help, you're going to have to leave me behind.
Wow. So powerful. And remarkable to me, because I'll tell you, when I talked about that Life Path 5, I did notice in your chart, there's a thing called maturity number. Yeah. And when I looked at it, I saw you had another 5. And that just tells me you have been through so much, and there's a lot to come. Like, this isn't just 9 lives. Okay? Like, if
Take
I say
that back,
5,
Glynis. Take that back.
But it could be all good, right? We get that yummy part too. Because you're 5, you've been through enough drama in this lifetime. You could write about it, you could help others with it, but now you're giving back. It's like, no, how can I bring hope to the world? How do I make people realize no matter what you go through, you can get back up and try again and embrace the new day. So it is powerful to me to hear you say that. And I'm going to tell you that maturity number, how do I even get that? You have a destiny number. We'll talk about that for a moment. This is when you take your full birth certificate name and reduce it to 1 digit. And in your case, it's the number 9. And 9 is the humanitarian. Think Gandhi is a 9. Mother Teresa is a 9. Yogananda, a 9. I mean, listen to these leaders, and that's your destiny, Michael. That is a part of why you've been called here. Then you take your life path, number 5, with the number 9, reduced in 1 digit, it's another 5. So this just means you have come through in this lifetime no dull moments. You know, I mean, my goodness, you said with Jessica, you must have been scary to her, right? I mean, it's like she looked and went, I don't know if I can do this because of all of what you are. You are not simple. You are complicated and you are so cerebral, Michael. You never stop thinking, right? You have a ton of ideas going at all times, but I think your gift in your whole numerology chart is the fact that you're so open to learning. You know, you're like an investigator. You dig for truth and you can't wait to share it with other people. The other thing I would tell you, since you do have that 9 destiny, you are not competitive. You're not out there competing with others. You are running your own race and you want everyone to win. Like, this is cool.
Amen.
This is really cool about you, is that when someone's doing well, you feel like it's your own victory too. Like, if they're in love, you're happy for the love. If they have a great success in business, you're happy for the business. That is what makes you so special, really, in the numerology blueprint of who you are.
Woohoo!
Yes. Yes.
I have this vision in my head, and you going back to Jessica for a moment of her, what it happened to her. She didn't have time to process till later on. I was airlifted out of there, and they didn't know what was going to happen.
Wow.
The emergency crews were freaked out and panicked because they had no blood pressure, and they were terrified, and you could actually tell they were terrified, and they airlifted me out, and somebody actually captured it on camera, which I cannot watch. It's on our website.
Oh.
I cannot watch that, but
No.
I can't even imagine what it was like for her being on the ground,
Oh, no.
watching me go up.
So devastating. But there's something else I want you to know about you. You talk about movement. Do you know 5 life paths often become a pilot or the captain of a ship? Right?
That explains the headphones here.
Right. But I'm serious. You're all about movement and gotta go, gotta do. So this is very much a part of who you are. So if you think of all the things you've enjoyed doing in your life, isn't it all based in movement?
Oh, absolutely. And it's something that is a part of me. And I always look at the bridge between heaven and earth as being movement. We're here incarnate. It's not just to be sitting off in a cave. It's to learn how to move and do a dance with the body that we've been given.
That's fantastic. And I would also say sound has a tremendous impact on you. You hear the right music and you're so happy. Like a song that you really enjoy, you go back to your inner child again, you just get goofy. It's like, oh, I love this song. So sound with movement is your life purpose, really. And I will say this to you too, as much as you've been through, and it seems to me you've been through a lot, with all that, you've never lived back there. Like, do you know that a 9 has to overcome the past? You must let it go in order to be happy today. So I think you make that effort, don't you?
Yeah, well, we're not our stories. We are not our stories.
Okay.
And I don't want to be, okay, I've had those events. I believe that everything that we've been told about age, about injuries, about things of this sort, that's not true. And
Absolutely.
so I want to share with people through me being able to do stuff that with all of my titanium parts and missing parts, modern medicine would say you shouldn't be able to do it. But we are capable. And so I want to do that. But, if I was to rely on my story, it would be impossible. And so I have to let go of the story, let go of the injuries, let go of all of that, and be firmly here in this present moment, living with what I have. Anything is possible from this moment forward. If I can wiggle all fingers and toes, anything's possible from now, not if I'm dwelling on the past.
That's right. And what I would also say, since Jessica has that 3 energy, which is also here to motivate and uplift others, you make a good team. See, that's where you're the same. And I mentioned soulmates earlier, but I didn't talk about the numbers, the soulmate numbers that you share. You share 773. Now, 77 means spirituality, getting the big answers. Who am I? What am I? Why am I here? You both feel called to get those answers. And then nature's beauty, ocean, mountains, plants, flowers, all of that speaks to both of you. And then you share 3, which is communication. So it's finding ways to laugh and enjoy your life. Like, you both stay really busy. Sometimes you can't be together. But when you do get together, it's about comparing notes. Like, you're enthusiastic about what you've discovered. And you really are interested. Michael, when she speaks, you're glued. It's like, ooh, what do you know? And the same for you. She needs to know. You come across certain information. She wants to know, well, what was that about? She's inquisitive. See, it's no dull moments between the two of you.
Yeah, and I'll take those dull moments as meaning what we can learn rather than what we have to experience.
Yes, no, I mean no dull moments in that there's joy in this lifetime. Look, you could be talking to me right now and then you go outside and just see something silly like a squirrel running up a tree and it just makes you laugh. Maybe it's competing with another squirrel. So then you giggle going, look at these two. You take in what's around you, Michael. And people who embrace life like that, that's true magic. It's not outside of us. It's inside us. And I think you're trying to give us all tools to dig inside us, right? It's like, how do we get you happy in there? Right? Because it's not outside you. You think it's about money? No. Success, business? No. It's about what joy can you find being in this moment, no matter what situation you find yourself in. That is why you are called to be here. And it's also, I think your whole thing that you're doing here, this humanitarian difference you're making, it's going to get bigger and bigger. And one more thing about your destiny.
Wow. So the last question I have on talking about Jessica and myself for the moment is the combination of the two of us together. We seem like powerhouses together. Does that seem like numerically we were brought together to be able to bring this to the world, that matches well that way?
Absolutely. As I said before, two bright lights must be careful for the bugs because lights do attract bugs. So if you guys make sure you don't let these people come in that are not a part of this purpose, you've got some big dreams. You have to be careful about negativity. If someone shoots it down, you both are very porous. You do take it in. You don't mean to, but you do. So that's why it's important to make sure you're with the circle that gets it. Hang with those people who believe in magic too, and then there's nothing you two can't achieve. But there's no question in my mind you came together for a reason, and it has to do with exactly what you're doing. There's no doubt in my mind. You will not block each other. Yeah, it's exciting.
So I was just looking at my watch as we were talking right now, and I came across 555, and I'd been meaning to ask you about this. You do talk about repeating digits in the book, and I look at them always as symbols or signs from the universe of being on path, but 555 comes up all the time. I'm sure I was looking in automatic writing this morning. I basically got my eyes closed and I'm typing away in bliss, and I open my eyes and look up, and of course it was 555. I hit it every single morning without fail. And now I look at the clock and it's 555.
Okay, so let me tell you why that so applies to you. You are a 5 life path. You also have a 5 maturity number. So you already have double 5. It is true that when you look at a clock, if that 5 comes through, it is talking to you. It's saying, what's going on? Are you on purpose? What are you doing with your life? Did you get stuck doing something for too long? Get away from it. Where's your spontaneity? Where's your sense of fun? Did you laugh today? It's asking a bunch of questions about this lifetime for you. Now, you also take the whole thing and reduce it to one digit. 5 plus 5 plus 5 is 15. 1 plus 5 is 6. 6 is that king of the castle thing again with you. So it's like, are you taking care of business? Are you being responsible? Where are you taking charge? What needs to be handled? And what have you not handled yet? So it's all a reminder about you. Like I don't see the 555. But I will see 333, and I'm double 3 in numerology. So yes, when you see your numbers on a clock or even when you're driving, maybe on someone's car, it's talking to you. It's a reminder to stay on point.
So it's a reminder to stay on point. I imagine it's good to go to a place of gratitude and look up and go, thank you at that time.
Yes, because it loves you. Your numbers. That's the beauty of numerology. People will say, oh gosh, I have a lousy chart, or, I wish I had better numbers. I said, what are you talking about? If you embrace the positive side of your numerology blueprint, there's nothing you can't achieve. It's like a beautiful thing. It's about loving your frequency, loving what you are, not putting yourself down. When you think about a baby, when a baby's born, you remember they love everything about them. Louise Hay says they like to play with their poo. They think it's fun. And then as we start to grow up and we get put down, mom and dad have opinions on what you're supposed to be. That's where the insecurities come in. That's where we become negative. So that inner voice must be removed. And that's, of course, what I work on when I talk about affirmations. I said, You got to replace it with a positive. That's exactly why I do it. Because you've got to let go of those negative voices. They do not help you. They do not serve you. And they certainly will not bring you joy. And I am convinced you can be happy every day, no matter what's going on around you. Yes.
Woohoo!
So I want to look at your wife a little bit. Just tell you a little bit about her. Okay? What's interesting about her first name is Jessica.
Yes.
Okay. She's got a 3 life path. Now that means here to motivate and uplift others. So I'm sure she has that ability. The 3 is often known for their eyes, their smile, their voice. So there's something about her that's very engaging.
Oh, yeah.
And I would think you picked that up immediately, like when you met her. But her name numbers are 797, which means she's also a big observer. She watches people. See, so here she's this social girl, but on the other side, she's watching them, and she has definite opinions, and she will let you know. She doesn't let things just slide. If she wants to discuss it, you're going to discuss it. It's very important to her to feel like, you understand each other, like dates. When I talk about date night in that book, Love by the Numbers, I say it because we have to keep our romance alive.
So we have soul number. Let's go through these. The first 3, soul number, personality number, and power name number.
That is correct. So the soul would just tell you what fulfills your soul. It's like a secret number. You're not going to know what fulfills someone's soul. But if you look at that number, it's going to give you insight. The personality number is just a piece of your personality. The power name number tells you what that name gave you. Like, what is the strength in that name? So the power name number is important. And then when it comes to the other 3 numbers, the day you're born is how you appear. So like in your case, Michael, you're born on a 7 day. Well, 7s can be quiet. 7s can be the one who observes. So they won't necessarily know about your 5 yet. The 5 life path is like celebration. Let's have fun. But sometimes you need to shut down. You have to shut down the whole system. Even the fact that you love skating, that's time out. You're having fun, man. You're looking at nature, the ocean, the mountains, the plants, the flowers. It makes you so happy. But that's the day you're born. Then your life path is the most revealing because it tells us, what is your life purpose? Why are you here? And then the full, the month and day reduced 1 digit is the attitude. So attitude means your attitude about life. Well, if your attitude number is not compatible with your life path, then people will be confused on who you are. And that is why these numerology blueprints are so important. And you know what I'm going to do now that I just said that? The reports I have, which is the individual read that tells you about yourself, or the soulmate breakdown, which tells you about you and someone else. So your maturity number is a 5 also. And that's why you have double 5 and you're never a dull moment. So I guess as you build your audience and the followers that understand that you're really coming from a pure place of trying to help. I mean, even what you've been through, all these bad accidents, your message really is, no matter what happens to you, you can get back up. You can get back up. You're going to be okay. You got to know that every single day is a chance to do it right. Every day is a chance to embrace what's out there, and it's like a child. In many ways, you're forever a child, Michael. You're like a little kid on Christmas Day. You're like, woo, what's going to happen now? And also the 5, you love to receive, but actually you like to give too. It's not, when you receive, you almost feel like, I call it the hot potato giver. You always want to give back. It's like, I want to give back to you too. So if I say thank you, you're like, oh no, thank you. If someone writes you a thank you note, you write a thank you for the thank you note. That's just you. You really do ooze with the gratitude. And I will say on that note, people who have no gratitude shock you. You're like, really? Like when you see someone have this big life and they're still angry and they don't have enough, you're like, how is that possible? How do they not know what a gift their life is? So I think your books are about that. You can tell stuff you've been through and then say, hey, but you know what? With the right state of mind and the prayers that you can use, the affirmations, all these wonderful things to change the way you think, you could still have a great life. Do not think it's over. Yesterday, what did we say? Tomorrow's promised to no one. Today's all we have. Make the most of every day, and you have good days. Those are good days when you're in the moment.
I love you, Glynis.
Thank you. Thank you. But it's so true, isn't it? That's you.
It is.
And let me tell you something else about Jessica. She, because she has the 7 is to learn to know God. So is she working on that part of her life? Tell me.
Oh, heck yeah. Oh yeah, we both do automatic writing, and she dives deep each and every day to learn, to grow, to learn, to grow, to expand, to learn, to feel. Absolutely.
Well, let me tell you what's great about that. When a 7 knows God, like they work on that spiritual side, they are remarkable teachers because they speak from truth. She's extremely honest, I have to say.
Oh yes.
I would even say to her, honesty is still an art form. Be careful what you say, because she can verbally execute. Sometimes she'll be fed up. She's like, I don't want to edit my words. Here's the truth, because she's based in honesty. And one of her deal breakers is a liar. If someone's dishonest, she's like, I got no time for that. And when something's troubling Jessica, it lives in her brain. Like it seeps up. Like she can be super busy, but then it loop tapes up again. She's like, gosh darn it, I'm frustrated about that. So her lesson is, again, when we talk about let go, let God, the more she taps into that, there's such serenity. Like sunsets make her happy. Flowers, just anything really beautiful, and nature speaks to this woman's soul.
Oh yeah.
So of course that means you two, when you go on these adventures and trips and you're surrounded by nature's beauty, you're both so content. Soulmates, lucky you.
Woo!
Lucky you.
Let's talk real briefly about how you guys met and how it was in the numbers.
Okay, I had been matchmaking everybody but myself, and I thought, what is wrong with this picture? The things that happen to me, and I'm sure this is true for you too, you hear that message way before you do it. So I kept hearing, okay, Glynis, you should do like the dating site. You should just put yourself out there, just put yourself. And I'm like, I kept ignoring it. Finally, I thought, you know what? I'm just going to do it. So I said, Numerologist looking for a man who's really got my number. That was my headline.
Yeah.
And then basically, and I invite everyone to say this as well when you do your profile, that I said a relationship is a get to, not a have to. Because that is the most important thing. When I see a man who treats a woman badly and acts like he has to take her out, he has to go on a trip, I'm like, who are you? It's a get to, not a have to. And along came my amazing husband, Charlie. So I knew he was the one. Like I ran the numbers and I just knew he was solid, but I deliberately did not meet him too quickly. And I encourage everyone to do the same, because if you can't have great conversations on that phone for hours, it's not going to be the right person for you. And so you can get physical. Sex can interfere in the beginning. Like, oh, it's so good, so you think you're in love. Well, no, that's your hormones. Mm-hmm. and I knew we'd have insane chemistry, so I took 4 months, even though he only lived 45 minutes from me. And then we finally met in person, and it was magic. Magic. And it's been 15 years together now. 15 years married, 13, and he's my best friend. Mm-hmm. He is, when I die, I'm simply going to say to God, thank you for Charlie. Because I had bad relationships before him, just like anybody else. I call it the X-Files, right? You go out with those people because you haven't found someone yet. And I remember one day saying to God, I said, Heavenly Father, next 4th of July, I want to be with the man I'm going to marry, or I'd rather not celebrate, because I was on a boat with an ex-boyfriend. Wasn't even happy. And you watch those fireworks and the magic, but you're not happy. And 2 days later was my first phone call with Charlie after making that proclamation. So there you go.
Woohoo!
Yes, it is. That's a huge woohoo. It's funny about love, and some people are like, oh, I don't need a relationship, or they just shut it down. Here's why it's great. When you can share your life, look, we all are kind of here alone. We really are. Like you, Michael, you got your own struggles. Jessica has hers. But if you can come together and laugh and compare notes and just get the ridiculousness of it all, that's heaven on earth. You get a piece of heaven before you get there. And I am hugely grateful for that. And also, I think your partner should not be the lead problem in your life at all. Like, he's not my problem. I have other problems and challenges that come up for me, but he's not one of them. And I think that's one of the keys to a relationship is check yourself and say, well, how often is my partner the focus because I'm not happy, or he did this to me, or she did this to me? Whatever it is, you've got to be honest with yourself, because that may not be where it ends, where your story is over. I've had couples that realized they were in trouble. We walked through it all. Some of them healed the relationship. It got better. And others walked away as friends. Because, Michael, when you know numbers, it's not personal anymore. Like, you know what? We're just toxic in numerology. We don't get along. You don't understand me. You're not even interested in what I'm interested in. It's not personal. It's just energy. That's important.
I think that's huge. And you talk about in the book how previous relationship you looked and said, well, this obviously wasn't meant to be. And it helped you to heal and to just drop that cold.
That's right. Yeah, no, you do. You absolutely heal from it. And, you know, some people will say to me too, Glynis, you know, I'm with this guy now and he's really good to me, but I keep thinking about my ex. Why? Well, when we run the numbers, that person has 3 numbers in common with them, which is what we call a soulmate connection. But here's the deal. A soulmate is one of 2 things. It's either lucky me, I found this person, or oh gosh, I'll never do this again. But you still feel that energy, you see? It's not that you get over it. Like, look, I have exes in my life that I still think of. They pop in my mind because we had energy that connected us. But I've never had a healthier, better love than I have today. Not once. And for that, I'm grateful. Every day I'm grateful.
Woohoo!
Yep.
And me as well, who was also by Jessica put in the friend zone for a while in the beginning.
Yes,
she actually,
I'm not surprised.
She knew me too well from day number 1 and said trouble, and I'm like, this is the girl I'm going to marry, and she's like, this isn't even a guy I'm going to date, and she waited and drove me insane. We got married actually on an interesting number.
What was it?
10-10-10.
Oh, so you picked one of those. Now that's interesting.
It was a synchronicity. We hadn't planned it. We came off a book tour.
It just happened?
And we looked for what weekend. And I said, I wonder because nothing was available. And I said, well, there's 10-10-10 if we can wait till then. And all the doors opened.
Okay. But you ready for interesting regarding you on this?
Yes.
Let's just talk about it from the numerology. I'm just going to show you everything I'm seeing in that, okay? First of all, the number 1 is about don't get in the way of me, meaning I don't want to lose myself. If I get with you and we love each other, I still want to be myself. I want to know who I am. I don't want to suddenly live my life for you. So you picked an extremely independent energy when you did this. You're like, let's do this. We're still coming together, but we still are individuals. That's 10-10-10. The other thing, sure, if I would look at just 10-10-10, that's 3 energy, and I could say that's a part of her. But the truth is, when you break down the name of a wedding or wedding date energy, you've got to put that 2000 in there. So it's really 10-10-2010 to get the truth of it. The whole date added up to a 5, and that's you, Michael. So this meant a lot to you. You see what you did? You made sure that day energy was you. Then the actual day was a 1, which is we came together and we became 1 on that day. And then the month and day was 2 energy, which means love will be here. Love. We want love, peace, harmony. That's the simple stuff. So, of course, I love that date. Like, had you track me down and say, go for it. But I'm also noticing a pattern with you. Those bad days, when you had the bad stuff happen, it was placement of number. Remember I said the whole energy breaking down to 2 would challenge your 5. The 2 and the 5 were here. Again, because that's a part of who you are. But the 1 said, we will be 1. We are together. We're better together. That's what it was. We are better together than apart. And yeah, you liked the challenge of her not letting you be her dude so fast. You're like, this is interesting. I'm willing to fight for this. I like her. You see, you liked her strength.
Oh, yeah.
And she, there's a part of Jessica, she doesn't need anybody. She loves her independence. Her double 7, she wants to go off and do her thing. But then her 3 has that sense of humor and can be very playful. And that's when she enjoys people. So that's the other thing you found in her is a woman who had a tremendous sense of self. She knows who she is. And she's always looking to learn more. She's very hungry for knowledge. And that's what you have in common. You both do that.
Woohoo!
Yes.
Thank you. So let's talk real briefly about affirmations. Then we'll do a few quick wrap-up questions and then maybe even an affirmation right at the end. What are affirmations? Since we're talking about love in general today, what are affirmations for healthy love?
Well, that's very much covered in my book, Love by the Numbers, and also Glynis has your number. Well over, I guess, 25 years ago when I picked up a book on the wonderful Louise Hay, who wrote You Can Heal Your Life. And I was blessed to become a friend of hers, and she let me call her Lulu, which was her nickname. The woman was remarkable, but her whole belief was what we don't deal with mentally will attack us physically. And she had overcome cancer in her own body in her 50s. Well, the woman lived to be 90. You know, she passed August 30th, just this past year. So she had this phenomenal life. And it all made sense to me. Like, let's say your knee hurts. She would say, you're not willing to bend on an issue. And so she'd give you an affirmation, and sure enough, you'd start repeating it, and the pain would go away. And what happened to me back then in my 20s, I was doing stand-up comedy. You know, double threes are natural comedians.
So cool.
And, yeah, but I was in a relationship that wasn't healthy, and I kept losing my voice. Well, in her book, she said, not feeling you're being heard. You're not being heard. And I thought, oh my gosh, it was so true. I was not being heard. So then I remember I had a radio interview set up, and I had lost my voice. And that morning I just meditated, and I said the affirmation over and over, lit a white candle, just sat there, and my voice came back within 1 hour. Perfect voice when I had lost it. So that's when I knew, for me, affirmations are my thing. And I am a writer, as I already said to you, you know, English, straight A student, English, always my passion. Words are such a gift, Michael, but we must choose them carefully. And so I started writing affirmations to help people attract healthy love, have more prosperity in their life, affirmations to heal their body if they got sick, you know, all these wonderful affirmations. And what I do, I have CDs, they're on my website, 15 minutes a day. And like I give you one for each day, you just repeat it out loud with my voice. I'll say that again. Repeat it out loud with my voice, and oh my goodness, you will start to feel happy and high, because you are affirming something very positive to the universe. And people always say, well, how can I stop thinking negative thoughts? I'm like, you got to fill it with some positive ones. And the only way to fill it is to use something, like use this tool. That's exactly what inspired me to do all the affirmation CDs that I offer, and they work. Now, going back to Charlie, here's a simple one. I welcome a loving, nurturing relationship with a man who is honest, passionate, and funny, who will be my equal and my life partner. And then I added things that matter to me, like financially stable, who has faith in God. It mattered to me. Like, you've got to add those things that really matter to you. And I did. So I did that for weeks and weeks and weeks. And then, of course, like I said, I got my Charlie. He's Charlie. Listen to this name. Charlie St. Denny Youngblood. Can you imagine? Charlie St. Denny Youngblood. That is a powerful, wonderful name. And yet, I'm Glynis McCants. I did not take on his last name because it wouldn't have been good for the marriage, Michael. And that's exactly what I mean. Should you take his name? If it's not going to help the relationship, no. But I sure love his name. And I sure love him.
May I ask the origin of his name?
Well, he's got German in his family. I also feel like there's some Russian in his family. And that's why he's got those gorgeous blue eyes. I mean, these eyes, he looks like a Siberian husky.
So you now have two in the house.
Yes, I do. I mean, I have a picture of Charlie smiling, and the blue in his eyes next to the dog. I didn't know who was who. I was like, wait, how did that happen? He has they're just very warm and kind and good. And by the way, if you want to talk about decent energy, let me tell you about Charlie's energy. Okay, and who I am. I am double three, born on a 3-day, 3-life path, here to motivate and uplift other people, which I do day in and day out. Praise God. Thank you. Thank you. My husband, he is born on a 6-day. And remember, the 6 is like the father energy. He's got 2 wonderful daughters, and he's such a dad. But his name numbers are 369, and then he has a 6 attitude. So that means his chart is 369 646. The numbers 369 are very naturally matched to me. Mm-hmm. His life path is a challenge to my life path. So when we speak, if he has something on his mind, he'll say, Glynis, the 4 in me needs to talk to you. See the warning, Michael? He lets me know. I'm going to say something you might not like. And I'm like, okay, let me breathe. Okay, Charlie, what is it? Well, 369 is creative. I've never met a more creative person in my life. This man makes the holidays beyond Christmas. It's a winter wonderland. Cooking. He does all of that stuff, yet he's also the strongest man I've ever met. He went to Annapolis. He's, military, So I believe he has a great mom, by the way. She raised him as a single mom. And I think when you raise a child right, they can be whatever they want. And they don't feel judged, right?
Yeah.
We live in such a judgmental society. Every child should be explore and be all of what they are. And that's why I think Charlie turned into this magnificent man. I have never, ever met someone more thoughtful and more gracious and kind, and yet a man who's tough and strong, and when he thinks he's right, does not give up that position. I'll tell you, Michael, people think I'm such a communicator. Oh, you're so strong. My whole thing with Charlie, if it takes 20 minutes in debate, I give it up. I'm like, okay, it's yours, because it's not worth it, and so there you go. But it is his energy. Going simple. 3 is sense of humor. He's very funny. His soul numbers are 3. I'm a 3 life path, so subconsciously I am fulfilling to his soul, and it's just a fact. I mean, we are so grateful for each other. 6 is father energy. When this man hugs me, I promise you, if I'm stressed out, Michael, it melts away. It's gone. And then 9 is family. A leader, taking care of others. That's him. So, and then he's got all the other 6s, so it's just even more true. And that's why it's so good for me. And yet it's also important, I think, because his life path is a challenge. People panic. They're like, me and my husband have challenges. And I'm like, so what? So you walk through those, because when you know your differences, if you communicate in a new way, you can have a healthy relationship no matter what.
So if we see in the numbers, we get your book, we go to your website, we get this printed out for us, and we see that there are challenges, that doesn't mean, even if we look in the book and it has the word toxic, we don't have to run kicking and screaming away as fast as we can. It's something we can work on.
Absolutely true. So here's how that goes. If you have 1 or 2 challenge numbers out of 6, you can agree to disagree. No big deal. If you have 3 challenge numbers out of 6, you will both work on that relationship to keep it healthy. If you have 4 or more, you must ask yourself, is it worth it? Because I have found, and I have many case studies of this, if you have 4 challenge numbers out of 6, you are constantly explaining yourself to your partner. It's a constant battle. There are couples, Michael, out there who fight. They're always arguing. That's not a fun couple to be around. There's a real good chance they have that kind of challenge, okay? Now, let's say you're married and you had 4 challenges and you come to me. I'm going to do everything in my power to help you communicate in a new way so that you're there for the kids. I will do that. But if you're single, no. If you're single, I want you to get it right from the start. And you have a formula I didn't have when I went looking early on. So use it. Use it to your advantage. But yeah, you have a lot of power here. This is like I'm giving you tools to understand your differences instead of you being defensive and think, oh, he puts me down. He says this. I'm like, now, wait a second. He's not just putting you down. It really is the opposite of how he would behave. Now, if you could understand that, there won't be a fight. And Michael, remember, it takes 2 to tango. You don't ever have to join in. If you don't join in, there is no fight. There's no argument. People forget that.
Man. Woohoo!
Yeah.
So if I take off my coaching hat, Glynis, and this has just been a brilliant, and I'm having so much, I'm like a kid in a candy store here. So if I take off my hat in the candy store, my coaching hat, and I put it on you, what one homework assignment would you give people today to help them on their paths?
Okay. One of the things I would give them, and this is one of the affirmations on my CD, and I have, like, as I've said, one for each day. Yeah. But this one I swear by. I feel like it covers a lot. And it just gives me great results. So the affirmation that I love is, abundance is my divine right. I'm healthy, wealthy, and loved. Abundance is my divine right. I'm healthy, wealthy, and loved. You say that out loud for 15 minutes, and I promise you, when it's done, you're going to realize abundance is your divine right, and you are healthy, wealthy, and loved. You will feel it to your core. And for those of you who've had lack your whole life or always are in debt, say it louder. Say it louder and say it more often, and you will get results. That is what I promise to your audience today.
Woohoo! I love the energy. I love the flow to it. I love the cadence. It's all frequency. Jessica wants me to always ask, what advice would you give parents to help their kids today? Okay.
This is very important. I actually help parents, like when they name a child, to ensure that there's compatibility, at least in the name energy, because you can't really pick when a child's born. course, I have people with C-sections. They're like, Glynis, what's the perfect day to have my kid? And I can do that. But here's the key. Learn who your child is. Just like Khalil Gibran said in The Prophet, children come through us. We do not own them. They are here to teach us something. We are here to teach them something. And when you know that, if you study their chart, study their soul, what fulfills it, study that little personality, study their life path, try to direct and help them get on their road. See, when you know that, you could be an amazing parent with that kid. And by the way, I have one client who now has 4 children, but she's been my client for like 20 years. They're all these amazing kids, completely different from each other, yet they all adore her and all think she's their number one support, and it's all through numerology that she did it. She would never have been able to. She came from bad parents. Her mother was emotionally unavailable. Her father left her as a child, and she was bound and determined not to repeat that pattern. And it was my information that helped her shift it. So that's it. That's the answer.
Woohoo! What personally, Glynis, brings you the greatest happiness, or what I call the woohoo factor?
In my life?
Yes.
In general?
Yeah.
I mean, I have to say, you really got me on my husband roll. He's my most fun.
Perfect.
I mean, when it's the end of the day, I'm like, ooh, Charlie, what are we going to do? Are we going to go out? You know, what's our next plan of attack? But the other one, I have to tell you, my greatest inspiration, my greatest mentor in my life, hands down, is my mother, Glynis McCants. My mom, she writes with me, like those books. If you read my dedication, you will hear how remarkable she is. But what I have said is, if I didn't know her, like if she wasn't my mom and I just met her, I'd be thrilled. Like I'd want to be her friend. What makes her so remarkable? She had 11 children. She truly was a cheerleader to each one of us. She ended up getting masters in arts and English. She's 85 and beautiful. She's a health food freak. She's all about it. Always was. Now, I make the joke that I think I gave birth to my mother. She didn't give birth to me because I look like I did and she looks like she never had a kid. But I will tell you, she has a tremendous sense of humor, and she has always gone to the positive. Like even with us as kids, no matter what you do, I make the joke that if my brother killed someone, she'd say to the police officer, he's 45, it's a stage he's going through. She just so has compassion and such a love of children, and not just her kids. She also did the foster kids. If someone left a baby at her house right now, she'd think she won a lottery. And by the way, I want to talk her numbers for a second. 6 is mother energy, okay? She's born on a 6th day. Her destiny number is a 6, which means destined to be a parent. And she has, where else? I believe a 6 destiny. So this was always a part of her. Like she even said to me, nothing mattered more to me than having children. And you know what? I'm number 9 out of 11. So if she didn't keep going, I wouldn't be here. So that is the person that I thank. And my father passed away. What I would say about him, he also had a bunch of 6s, so they wouldn't have had all those kids. But he was a powerhouse. He was tough. He was one of those, if you got all A's, and 1 B, why'd you get the B? My father. But he pushed you forward, you see. He saw my gifts, what I could be, and he pushed me in that direction. So you see, that works when you have a mom and a dad that support you, not the same. And Michael, one more thing to say to you, like you and Jessica. This is so important for people to understand that if the 2 of us agree on everything, then one of us is not necessary. Right? We learn from each other. And my parents were 2 very different people that taught me invaluable stuff. But my mother knocks me out. Every single day, I just cannot get over her wisdom, her intelligence, her agelessness, and yet a mother of 13, 11 kids and all these grandkids, and loves all of it.
Her secret positivity? What's her secret?
Well, you know what? I would say she used all those fun tools too. Louise was more like an equal. Louise was 90, right? So they both were kind of in that world of understanding that what you believe is what you manifest. And she knew that. Like she knew that if you said negative things about people, that would bite you. Even if they weren't in the room, you were hurting yourself. And she always reminded us of that. She'd be like, hey, be careful. Even though you feel justified in what you're saying, it's still negative. And negative hurts you, not the person you're mad at. See, anger only burns you. It's like holding that coal in your hand. Mm-hmm. That's why you let it go. It's like, I'm not going to keep this anymore. She was the teacher of that. So just very evolved, my mom, always beyond her years.
Woohoo! Yeah. Go mom. So
go mom.
Where can people go to find out more and to find your beautiful books?
Okay. They should go to the website numberslady.com. So it's NUMBERS as in Sam, numberslady.com. When they go there, the first thing they should look up is numbers on the menu and study themselves. You know, read a little bit about their life path number, read about their attitude number. That's all available to them. Then we talk about the power of 8, which I know you kind of asked about. But 8 energy is just about prosperity. I give them an affirmation there. They can sign up for a free newsletter. The newsletter is something where I tell you what's in store for each month. Take advantage of that. And then they should look at the products page. That's where I have whatever's going on with you is covered. Whether it's your fear about money, like maybe you're unemployed for 2 years, you start affirming you're going to get the job. It works. And then I have healing your body. You know, Michael, when we get sick, it's fear that gets us sicker. You know that. Just like chemotherapy, which makes me just think poison to poison, that can't be the answer. I really do believe, by the way, we're going to get more homeopathic as time goes on to realize there are herbs. You know, God hooked us up on the planet. Let's get some herbs in our body and heal. But that's covered. So affirmations to heal your body. And then affirmations to attract healthy love. Love by the numbers. Glynis has your number. Amazon, of course, always has deals. I have those links at the page. Just click on it. Take advantage of those discounts.
Woohoo! So that is, to repeat, go to numberslady.com, and which is NUMBERS lady, LADY.com, all one word. Or if you didn't catch that, come on over to inspirenationshow.com and we'll get you over to numberslady.com as well. So before we dive into a little brief affirmation, are there any words of wisdom? Any more? This has been an amazing interview, Glynis. I am without words. Any last words you would like to share, though?
Well, I would say to people, I'm very sincere in this. Even though I've created affirmations, people will say, yeah, but you don't do them anymore, right? I mean, you wrote them. And I'm like, oh, no, that's ridiculous. I must start out my day in a spiritual place. I try to read positive words for each day. It is sacred. And I also recommend like Yogananda, you know, Where There Is Light. There are some great healing books. And my book, that love section, there's a fun one to read. What turns a person off? What turns them on? When you understand that about people, that gives you tremendous confidence. That's in my book. But going to prayer, yes, you should start your day in meditation. Do the affirmations. Do something positive before you turn on that computer, before you look at your smartphone, before you pick up the phone. Do not deal with anyone. Give yourself 10 to 15 minutes in the morning. That is the most important thing, Michael. Like, if they could start doing that daily, they're going to change their life for the better. It's like the beginning of healing. Because I do know this. The people that come to me that are in great pain, they really do believe they're never going to get out of it. But I know for a fact you can. You know, if you find ways to be in the moment, and that's my other suggestion. I got 2 really good ones. This one's a great one for everybody. It involves YouTube. When you're frustrated and angry and just can't stand your life, I always say go to YouTube, pick a song that is ridiculous. Pick the ones that make you laugh. Your favorite song in your happiest time, 80s, 90s, whatever that music is, put it on and dance. Just get up and move your body. It could be 3 minutes, 4 minutes. I guarantee you're going to feel high as a kite for no reason. Like, it just brings you back to that wonderful, silly thing that's inside our body to feel joy again. That is my secret ingredient. I do it probably not every day. Some days I'm just having a great day. But when I get frustrated or annoyed, I'm like, oh, got to do some music. And I do. Like one of my favorites is Everybody Dance Now. Boom,
boom, boom, boom.
You know?
CNC then, Music Factory. Yes, absolutely.
And then Michael Jackson, please. Want to be starting something. Got to be starting something. You put on that kind of music, it's healing. And going back to Pythagoras, he always believed that music could heal your body. So I invite you to listen to music that you know you love, because that means it's already resonating in a positive vibration, and juice yourself back up. Talk about a shot in the arm with no needle. Just do your music and dance, and you'll feel much better.
I can see clearly now the rain is gone.
You got it.
I was singing that to myself as I lay there on the rocks, stuck in a creek, waiting for the EMTs to get there. As I'm trying to fight to keep my breath, I just was singing that with everything that I could.
You are amazing, but I'm telling you, that's your book. Like, I would get that book in a heartbeat. When you write it, I want it. You are telling stories that anyone else would just fall to despair and think, how did this happen? It's not fair. You didn't do that. You're like, oh, I'm still here. But that brings you back to the cat. You're a cat. Well, and here's our cat. But you really are a cat.
Yes, and so Kitty has just taken over the studio here. So with that said, Glynis, would you have an affirmation you want to share with people before we let you go?
Okay, let's think. Let's go to one that's really simple. Because we live in a time right now, even though we're hearing about the economy, they're saying, oh, it's so much better. I know so many people who would beg to differ. People who are frustrated with their money. They just feel like it's not coming in, or they don't have savings. Let's go to a Louise Hay, one of my favorite ones that I learned early on with her. That's great. And it's simple. I pay my bills with ease, and I always have extra money. I pay my bills with ease, and I always have extra money. I pay my bills with ease, and I always have extra money. You start affirming that, and again, 15 minutes is key. Say it out loud. Don't say it in your head. You will see the flow. Just like the ocean. When you look at the abundance of the ocean, it's the same idea. Money should just come and go. It has a nice rhythm, and it flows, and it will always come back. Because once you live in fear, it goes away. The fear of lack. Right on.
Thank you so much, Glynis. This has been phenomenal. Speechless. It is, you read us like a book. You gave us guidance. You're clearly a master at what you do. And if you dive into this, it's like decoding a bit of yourself, your partner, your life.
That's right.
Woohoo! Wow, wow, wow. What another amazing, sacred, special interview. On that note, if you want to dive into something that's sacred and special, then you want to dive into awe, the automatic writing experience. It's a process where you learn how to channel, to go quiet, put pen to paper, and literally get answers from the other side of the veil. Now you can get our video-based program where you can begin learning automatic writing today, along with live classes at automaticwriting.com. On that note, if you're loving the show, then that means you are a mystic. So join Michael's School of Mystics. We meet 4 Wednesdays a month. Simply go to InspireNationUniversity.com and you can find Michael's School of Mystics. On that note, come join us every Monday night. We have YouTube live events. And if you want even more than that, click the join link. Come join the inner circle with me. You get an uplifting dose of goodness in the inner circle with all of the behind the scenes footage and videos that I make specifically for you. We're a podcast too. Find us on iTunes, Spotify, every single place you can get a podcast. You can find the Inspire Nation Show. Click the subscribe button and the bell icon, which will notify you with upcoming shows, YouTube live premieres, and here's the link to the next amazing video. Love you guys so much. Big thumbs up. Leave your comments if you like this. Shine bright. Woohoo! Love you guys.